This is Red Moon Roleplaying. Masks of Nyarlathotep. Where last we left our investigators Madeline and Bertie. They were hidden in a series of alcoves along Mead Street in Soho, London. Madeline had just discovered some of the dark secrets of the Brotherhood of the Black Pharaoh. At least alleged secrets concerning violence, murder, and conspiracy. Bertie, unsolicited, had decided to follow Madeline, who was currently in the company of Anna and Yalisha Assam, because he was concerned about their safety, but also because they were being followed and he was curious about why. They were being followed by 3 gentlemen in black and pinstripe suits. All of them had left the Blue Pyramid Club, and Bertie had just seen the 3 men separate. One to occupy the end of the street, the other 2 the end closest to him. Bertie, from your stance, you've seen a mugging or 2. Hell, in your younger days you may have participated in 1 or more of them. Your brother was always the first to lead such things, and, well, you were sometimes in the background, threatening, just looking tall and menacing. This kind of pincer movement, to give it far more strategic value than it actually has, is prime for that kind of thing. This is the kind of street where there's only 2 ways out. You head northwest or southeast. Northwest, you've just seen a rather grim-looking fellow in a pinstripe suit, hunched over, ducking between alcoves, heading in that direction. Southeast, 2 others, likewise suited. Some of the businessmen you ran afoul of a couple of weeks ago when you were looking for Amun. You know that they can be violent, and you know that right now Madeline and her friends are caught between them, seemingly unaware.
Indeed, and it's certainly curious that, because why them? I was planning to come out here and maybe follow them somewhere, but they've come out for them. This woman, Madeline, asking an awful lot of questions. She couldn't be undercover copper? Journalist, maybe? Even worse, you could say. No, I don't know. For a moment, I do consider just making a leg for it myself. After all, 3 of them, only 1 of me. And, as you said, my eldest brother, Tom, he was the one who could take on multiple people. Sadly, not in the war. He never came back from that, but before that, yeah, he could take a few on. I can't. And yet, at the same time, these people probably have seen my face, and contrary to what Mr. Abdul thinks, I am not an idiot. I might pretend to be sometimes, but I'm not. If my investigation has led me to the eye of these sorts, they might already be planning to come for me anyway. So maybe making the first move is actually the wiser play, and maybe this Madeline and her friends, maybe they know something I don't, so maybe I should try helping them out. Question is, what's the best way? I'm thinking maybe better to follow after the 2. If I can either distract them, get one of them, or begin negotiations from that angle, well, at least I've got more of them in my sights. So maybe that's what I'll try and do. Just before I do go, though, whereabouts in London are we again? I'm trying to work out how long it will take the coppers to react to a gunshot round here.
You're in Soho, and while Soho isn't quite as grim as the East End in terms of criminality, all kinds of strange noises, shouts, shots are occasionally heard in Soho, and sometimes they're part of celebrations, bawdy kinds. I would expect you to make a luck roll if you open fire, to see whether you then hear the whistle of a police officer Because remember, this is before they were using sirens or even before police boxes were a thing. They all wore a whistle around their neck, walked their beat, and if they heard something unusual or saw something, in goes the tin whistle.
My thinking is twofold, of course. I don't actually want to liaison with the police, but in this scenario, I'd imagine these three wouldn't either. And gunshots are louder than stab wounds. Then again, maybe they don't care. Maybe they do.
That is a very good observation. A very smart observation. Almost every single one of these, in fact every single one that you've read about, Egyptian murders, has been committed via cudgel or blade. Some have been written off as accidents. The telltale sign of a skull caved in or a hole drilled through a skull has never been accompanied by the blam of a gunshot. This is a group that likes to occupy a place of secrecy and stealth. So it's quite possible a loud noise would alarm them and send their plan completely into tatters. So, Craig, is that what you're doing?
It will be, but just before I start firing bullets in the air, let's just make sure I've not got the wrong end of the stick and then all go in for a nice cigarette. So I'll just try and keep close and see what happens next.
Yalisha reaches the end of her point about Badru and about Amun. She starts lighting another cigarette, but now her hands are shaking. Fuck.
Here. And I'll light it for her.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I don't... Why are you investigating? You're an American, right? Well, why are you even looking into this?
That's such a loaded question, Yalisha, and just given what you've just told me, I don't know if telling you the truth is actually going to put you in harm's way. We're not actually saying, and just, even though I know that we're completely safe and we're tucked into this alcove and we can't possibly be overheard, you're not saying that you believe that this brotherhood is responsible for these murders. You don't actually believe they're killing their own, right? Or is that something that we are actually considering?
Her mouth is open. She's lost for words because she doesn't know. She's kind of shaking her head and she says, these men, and I would guess they're not even all men, are criminals. And I don't know how they do it in America, but they don't have loyalty to each other, despite what they like to say. They will... I could well believe that if this is a gang, and I think that they are, I don't know if they're shaking people down, if they're holding people up, I don't know what they're doing. But I can well imagine that if one of them steps out of line or goes into the business for themselves, why wouldn't they take that person out in the same way as they do all their other victims?
No, you're not wrong. That's just not something I was prepared to maybe acknowledge is the word I was hoping for. These murders that have been going back, at least from my records, 2-3 years, possibly more, if my records are incomplete, they feel ritualistic in a way. And I don't think I was prepared to onboard the fact that they might be pulling their victims from their own community. Maybe I just didn't want to face that as an option.
She nods away, smoking the cigarette you have proffered or lit for her. As she does so, her eyes widen. She's looking over your shoulder to the area behind you. What Bertie can see is one of the group of two has started approaching the alcove that the three of you are clustered in. So now, just to set the scene, you've got one of them at one end of the street, one of them in the other, and one of them, his hands in his pockets, approaching you. Bertie, you see this. He is just strolling over, looking casual, his hands stuffed into his jacket pockets as if it were a particularly cold night, and it isn't. It's quite warm, quite clement. And then his right hand emerges from his pocket. And he has what looks like a kosh. You think it's mostly in silhouette. Bear in mind, it is about 9 or 10 at night now. So it looks like a blackjack or kosh, a sort of small club. Can I ask you to do a spot hidden?
That is a 40. Could spend 5 luck.
Oh, you can spend 1 luck and get a reroll and risk critical failure. Up to you. I'll tell you what the critical failure would be if you want to know the penalty for failure.
Go on then. What's the critical fail?
You will assume he's actually withdrawing a cigarette or lighter and is going to smoke with them, and there's no reason to worry.
I think, on this occasion, let's spend 5 luck, taking me down to 45 luck, to pass on a 35.
As he turns the small club in his hand, you can see him rotating it between his fingers and palm. You see, catching the lamplight, a spike emerging from one of its sides. It is long and hooked. The kind of thing that if you were to drive it down with force, you would be able to just crack open a nut, a rock, a skull, very easily indeed.
I reckon there's not a lot of time left to act. These 3 clearly mean this lot some harm. And you know what? I'm not really fond of folks causing harm to nice ladies down alleyways, not in London town, not nowhere. But I can't take them all on. Maybe a little bit of the old distraction is the best play here. So, I am going to quickly step towards that alleyway, just to make sure the sound is heard down there. Aim my Luger straight up in the air, and as I fire 3 shots, I yell out, "Fire! God blimey, I reckon there's a fire down here!" Because there's one thing I know in London, that's that people pay attention when you say fire.
Very well. I am going to ask you to make a firearms roll, not to see whether you hit a passing pigeon, but to see if you critically fail and the gun jams.
I'll take a 55 over 50, that's a failure.
That's fine. A failure just means you fire. That's exactly what you intended. Critical success would have been something magical, but we will have to cover that when or if you ever get one. Blam, blam, blam! You fire 1 shot after the other, yelling out, "Fire, fire, there's a fire." Luck roll, please, Craig.
Nope, 77.
Immediately you hear the whistle of 1 police officer, and that is quickly joined by the whistle of a 2nd police officer. In a way, this is kind of what you want. It's drawing attention. You see lights switching on in apartments over some of the clubs and stores and bars in Soho. Again, the sounds of gunfire, the shouts of fire, the policeman's whistles. These kinds of things are guaranteed to draw attention. But here's the crucial thing. How does it affect the 3 members, well, the 3 gentlemen who mean Madeline, Yalisha, and Anna harm? Madeline, I want a luck roll from you. I am going to give you an advantage here, a bonus, in that the 2 spotters at either end of the street are going to flee regardless. What we're discussing here is the man who is heading right for you.
There's a 71 and a 61 over 24.
Don't worry, that doesn't mean you immediately get struck. Rather, as you turn to see what Yalisha is staring at in horror, you observe the rather crude and ugly face of a man with a nose who's been broken quite severely. He is holding this kosh, this nailed kosh, in his hand and raising it above his shoulder. And Despite the sound of gunfire that echoes through the streets and the cacophony of whistles that follows, he mutters, "Yalisha, you stupid girl!" and swings down. He's not swinging for you. He is swinging past you for Yalisha. So, Madeline, question. I need you, if you're going to try to intercept this, I'll give you a choice. Brawl or fighting, or indeed dodge would work. Hell, I'd even allow you a dexterity roll. If you want him to injure himself, you would need to make a strength roll. So you've got a few choices here.
Oh, you're opening up the door for me to actually have him injure himself in this
yeah,
attack.
I mean, there's a lot of options here. He isn't going to stop based on your shouting. If gunfire isn't going to stop him, you shouting at him isn't. So there's no persuasion or intimidation on the table. So you've got an option. You could go for a fighting, or you could go for a strength to basically kick him or basically have him injure himself. Or you could go dexterity or dodge to try and knock the weapon from his hand, knock his hand aside, that kind of thing. You may be able to come up with something different. You tell me.
No, I absolutely love this. So ultimately, I see the eyes go wide and I cannot imagine what she could possibly be seeing. And now I'm hearing gunshots and my first thought is to get the ladies down for straight fire because there's something happening. But there's also fire, there's police whistles, and then I turn around and I'm face to face with this creature. My nervous system is just ready to process the fact that the weapon that he uses matches all the evidence that I had that my worst fear in this particular situation, at least from a cultural standpoint, is true. And then I remember just how captivated I was by Yalisha's performance. That girl, this family, they're good people. And I have just invited them into their own, and my only objective at this point, Keeper, is to make sure that that attack does not land on Yalisha. There's a moment when I'm on my knees and there's a bright light and Jesus is standing in front of me. There's a moment where I'm on my back and an implement is getting ready to get shoved up my nose. There's just all of these moments that come crashing down, and I'm going to attack this guy with every intention to knock him away from Yalisha and to put this weapon into him.
You know what? That description, that energy that is behind your intent is going to give you a plus 20 on a skill of your choice. Not a characteristic, but a skill.
This feels like a fighting brawl to me. It's my lowest of the skills I could choose from, but that's what feels authentic in this moment.
Well, not only that, but Madeline, this is a chance. Well, it's a chance for you to fight back. It's not like you haven't been the perpetual victim. Far from it. You have... Your actions in the Juju house, ultimately, were enough to save your companions. But so often it seems like you have been put in a position where either you needed saving, or someone else put you in that position, or the odds have always been stacked against you. You may be able to halt this man's blow. You may be able to get him to injure himself, run away, and there's so much energy in you right now that yes, you have your plus 20 to your fighting brawl. Best of luck.
My fighting brawl is a 35. That takes it up to a 55. I hit a 32. I'm gonna see if that is... Oh, that's so close to a hard success. Would it matter if this is a hard success in this particular situation?
Tell you what, if you get a regular success, you knock it from his hand. If you get a hard success, I will allow you to either grab it from him and drive it into him. In fact, yeah, you grab it from him and drive it into him in a place of your choosing.
Oh, this is fantastic. So I will burn the 5 luck to bring this down to a hard success. And as I step in front of Yalisha and turn this item back on him, the only appropriate place is to drive this item back into that broken nose.
Describe the action for me then, Bridgett, because it is a success.
Yeah, so this is I step in front of Yalisha as all of this energy, this charge is coming from the surface, and it's an easy, smooth, almost acrobatic spin as I clasp onto this weapon in his right hand and I just drive it up. My entire intention was possibly to drive it up beneath his throat. That would quiet him. That might break in through his chin and bleed. And my angling, maybe it was lucky, maybe it wasn't, but the pin, that point of whatever this weapon is goes directly straight towards his face. He's coming down on her as I'm coming up with his own weapon, and those two just connect in a very magical moment as I am pushing him and pinning him up against the wall.
Is the noise he produces as the spike is driven into his nose. Make a strength roll, Madeline.
This is 17 under... Yes, that's a hard strength check.
Whether intentionally or not, you rip his nose clean off. Maybe it's partly his action in trying to wrestle this club free from your hand as you are trying to hold it in place and do as much damage to his face as possible. Just get him to goddamn stop. That's what they always teach you. That's what they always taught you in Harlem. You remember when Mose used to tell you, if someone goes for you, go for his eyes. Grab his earlobe, rip his ear off, stick your fingers up his nose, pull up. People stop mugging you when you detach vital parts of their body. Punching them in the face, in the gut, doesn't stop a person. Gouging an eyeball does. Well, so does ripping their nose off. He lets out a wail. Absolute agony as the blood gushes out in a torrent. Naturally, Yalisha screams. Anna grabs her by the hand, starts running. Madeline, come on! Come on!
Go, 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 go! I have to stay here with him. I can't risk that he's going to get up and pursue.
Bertie, you can see that despite everything you've done, you can see two of the young women have started running away in the opposite direction. And you can hear the footfalls of it's either a concerned citizen or a police officer tramping at speed in your direction along the cobblestones, long flattened with age, giving that resounding West End noise of footfalls at night on a cobblestone street. And yet, one of the women... You can't see exactly what's going on now. They're both in the alcove. There's something. There's a grapple. There's some kind of conflict. One of the bodies has hit the floor. Bertie, what is your action? Is now your time to leave? Are you going to get involved?
Well, if I'm honest, I kind of have to go in the alleyway anyway, because I can't just run from where I am right now. I'll probably be noticed.
You definitely will be, because there's a police officer running in your direction.
So it's time to pull my cap up and duck into the alleyway. I keep my gun ready, but I do notice the lady, and I just shake my head. She does need to get moving. So I will go, advancing, though I keep an eye on whatever's down beneath her, and I just whisper, "Wait, you need to go now, my love."
I startle. I wasn't expecting anyone else to be here. I was so entranced in this moment, and I'm just thinking about what this cretin did to that woman, industry or not, what he's taken from her. And I just can't help but to shove with all of my might that device, if I can just push it through his face before I stand up.
To push it through his face, you're going to have to pull it out again and jam it in again. I mean, it's already loose and it has his nose hanging off of it, but you can smack it into his face if you want.
I'm going to remove this device, and it just happened so fast. I'm going to push this with all of my might directly back into his face. This is for Badger, you bloody cunt. And I'm just going to shove with all my might as it propels me back up onto my feet.
Make a damage roll, 2d6, please.
That's a 3 and a 6, 9. I don't think I have a bad damage bonus. I'm too tiny.
No, but you cave in his face. This is a club with a spike attached to it. When you drive a club into someone's face, especially if the hard bone of the nose has already been depressed, it's lost most of its armour. You stove in his forehead. As far as the majority of the people of London are concerned, there's been another Egyptian murder. Bertie, you get here just to see the tail end of this. And Bertie, you have committed enough crimes in your time to know that you do not leave a weapon with your fingerprints on it. Fingerprinting technology has now been a factor in Britain for over 2 decades.
That is very true, and as I come across this scene, I will admit, I am surprised. I thought there was something suspicious about this woman, but I didn't suspect this. Although, deep down, I'm grateful that this at least means I don't need to finish off any witnesses. Bullets and all that. This is good, this is good. I lean over quickly, gently, to not startle her, grab her shoulder, and just say, bring that with you. We need to go that way, and we need to lay low now, love. Unless you want to be hanging from a noose.
No. Okay. Keeper, I am on my feet. I'm looking at what's in front of me, and I think my mind just kind of just blanks that out for a moment. There's almost like static where his face should be. There's no real recognition. There's a slight dissociation. Can I grab into his pockets? This is not a thorough body search, but this is just whatever I can quickly grab off of him. This is the fastest loot the body ever.
I've made it clear police are on the way and they will be running. There is no way of getting around that. There's been gunshots and shouts of fire. So I'm either going to ask for luck or I'm going to ask for, and it may not seem appropriate, but I think it's the best one we can go for right now, sleight of hand.
I was hoping and praying you were going to go sleight of hand, honey, because I at least have that one. Just underneath it, 48 under 50.
Superb. In that case, you are able to grab a sheet of paper out of his pocket. You don't know whether it's valuable, whether it is going to have anything of note on it whatsoever. It's folded, it looks old and crisp, but it's what you've got. So are you holding onto this cudgel, and you're taking the paper, and you're running in the direction Bertie gestured?
I am running in the direction that Bertie gestured, yes.
Very well. The night, it passes. My question to you, players, is will you have stuck together? Will Bertie have provided Madeline with sanctuary overnight? Would you have tried to track down Anna and Yalisha, or would you have gone in separate directions? Let's start with Madeline. Do you think finding those two would have been important, or would you have been in too heightened a state?
Keeper, those women are sharp. Everything that I've seen come out of that family, those women are clever, they're sharp, they're survivors. They wouldn't be dumb enough to go back to that club. Yalisha absolutely saw what was behind us, what attacked us. They're not going to go back to the club. Wherever they're going to go, I'll have to track them down later, but I have enough confidence in their intelligence and their survivability and their practicality to know that I can deprioritize their safety, at least for the moment. But I have a lead. I'm not going to say a friend, but in this moment, he's the closest thing I have to a friend and an ally. I need to stick with whoever this Mr. Hill is.
In that case, Bertie, would you have taken her back to your antique store / flat in a roundabout kind of way to get her off the street?
I reckon that probably would be a good move. I, of course, will make sure that as soon as we're out of the immediate danger zone, we start walking, because you don't want to keep running around in London town if you don't want to look suspicious, gun holstered. But I think before anything else, there'll be a very quick moment where I just go, just to clarify, you're not a copper, are you?
What? No.
Journalist, some weird, investigative, secret person from America.
Okay, that one feels more authentic too. Yes, that one. I'm not law enforcement, though, no.
Journalist. Why were you asking all these questions and getting involved with all sorts of people like this, Marty? I just would like to know before I get in any more trouble.
Just point of clarity. Where are we right now? We're walking towards wherever this location is?
Yes, walking. I've got you back onto some side streets. We're back in the public view, nice and calm walking. I've kind of done that thing where I've just urged you to walk slowly now. Two people having a walk in London town.
The individual that you're looking into, Amun, he's tied into a much larger investigation that myself and some friends are looking into.
There are a lot of you?
There's enough.
Well, I might need a little bit of help myself, and I have services I can provide. For the moment, we're not too far from my business. You might need to lay low a little bit, and no one's going to be looking for you there.
You didn't seem upset about the death. And I'm going to look at him very carefully. I'm going to do a full psychology on his response here, too.
I sniff a little. It's not the first time I've seen something like that, love, although I have to say, you really had it in for that one. But then again, I reckon all three of you were about to have a very nasty end, so I'd rather support you than folks like that. Is that so hard to believe?
I meet your eyes with a level intensity as I'm trying to back into that response to get closer to you or understand you better. Then there's just a confrontation there that I'm not able to hold. I blink, I nod, and I look back out in front of me. Did you follow us out there?
I followed them out there. It just so happens they then followed you. Like I said, I'd like to find out where my money is, where my carpets are, or, the way things are going, who I'm gonna need to deal with, so I don't end up like that individual in the alleyway.
I don't know anything about your carpets. I don't know anything about your money. And if greed is your motivation, and I say this from a place of patience, I think that's hollow. But thank you. Because regardless of how I feel about you in this moment, you saved my life. You saved all of our lives.
No need to mention it, love. Believe it or not, I'm not a bad guy. If anything, I'm a legitimate businessman. Now let's get back to my place. We can make a cup of tea, and then if there's people you need to talk to, you can talk to them in a safe place. Who knows, maybe your friends can be my friends. I reckon I'm gonna need them. But I'll tell you one thing, and I offer you a smile. I've got friends as well.
Question about the smile. Does it feel empathetic? Does it feel encouraging? Does it feel predatory?
It feels confident, but maybe in a slightly dangerous way.
Noted. Maybe we can be friends. But if nothing else, at least tonight, I owe you everything. Thank you. Again.
No need to mention it. I'm sure you'd have done the same, and I chuckle at that. And I will then remove myself from your immediate person, and just guide you as if we were just two normal folks walking the streets.
I think in this moment, as we're just walking in silence toward destinations unknown, at least for me, it's amazing how quickly you can extend trust to a stranger. I look down at my hands that still have blood on them. Some of it is drying, some of it is wet. And I don't think the stain is what surprises me as much as the fact is that they're not shaking. I pull my fingers into two fists and I wrap them underneath my arms just so those stains aren't as visible. And I continue with this lovely stroll down a London night walk.
You may be wondering why I didn't ask you for a sanity roll. And it's basically for the reason that has just been explained by yourself. I mean, this was a natural instinct for you. And maybe that is disturbing on some level, but after the violence and the horrors that you've witnessed, self-defense or defending someone else, even hitting the man when he was down and stoving his face in, you don't know if he's dead, but he can't be very well, that's for damn sure. It just felt like the right thing to do.
And I don't know how I feel about that right now. But I'll have to compartmentalize that and address it later. And I actually don't know how I feel about my ability to do that either.
Shall we move on to the next day?
Yeah.
Hey, is there a phone in your shop there, Hill?
Of course. I'm a modern man. Who doesn't have a phone these days?
I just love the idea of Madeline curled up in a corner on the phone, giving this report to Rupert before just sleeping at this shop that she's still with a stranger that she still doesn't know, and knowing that that doesn't matter in this moment.
So you're calling Rupert this late at night?
Oh yeah, we can wake him up and give him an update.
Meanwhile, I've of course made sure to lock the doors, pull down the blinds, and reload my gun. 'Cause I'm deep down a little stressed that I may have riled a bee's nest, and I didn't really want that. I just wanted my bloody money.
And so the morning comes, and when you wake, Madeline, because you do sleep eventually, the first thought that floods your mind is these Black Pharaoh thugs. They knew who Yalisha was. Obviously, they knew who she was. Maybe they knew where she lived. And she lived with the rest of her family, with Anna, with her parents. My God, would they have done something else overnight, especially with one of them dead? But the problem is you don't know where they live. You never got a home address. You know Anna worked at the Nile. You know that her father owns the Nile. But it results in you waking up in a panic. One of those, oh shit, oh God, I don't know what, help panics.
Yeah, that cold sweat, that heart racing, that blinding fear, and that crippling sense of helplessness. Honestly, that would wake me up screaming. Not in terror, agony, but that would just be a whimper, a yelp, a panicked, strangled cry as I'm dragged out of my sleep. I think as I back into whatever corner from whatever floor or couch or bed or situation that I was able to sleep on, the only thing I can do to bring down the panic in my chest is to rely on what I told myself. I don't know whether it was the truth. I don't know whether it was a lie, but to rely on what I told myself last night. These women are sharp. Yalisha knew who came after her, and she would know what I'm realizing right now in this moment. They would have made smart decisions. They would have made smart decisions. They wouldn't have gone home. They would have removed their family. They would have gotten out of town. They would have made smart decisions. But I have to follow up. I have to verify. I have to know.
Your shout wakes Bertie up. Bertie, you're in the other room. Of course, you're a gentleman, let's not forget. You were just having a doze. You've woken up a couple of times overnight as well, because despite the fact you lived through the Great War and you've been bombed to hell and back at the times when you were serving on the front line, scant as they were, a scream is enough to wake you. And the tension of last night was enough to keep you from falling into a deep sleep.
Precisely. Not to mention, of course, this is only my spare room. I actually have a more comfortable bedsit in Kentish Town, but sometimes it's good to sleep near work. No, not a good night's sleep. Again, I prefer to do business that is significantly less dangerous. And this is not that sort of business anymore. I've even taken out my lucky four-leaf clover and put it on the side of the bed just in case, although probably need something stronger than that luck charm. But no, I'll wake up and I'm practically dressed still anyway, slightly dishevelled now in my suit, and I'll just come and be like, what?
I'm sorry. I just woke with a start. I'm sorry.
Sure. No. Hope you didn't get spooked by all the statues on the left shelf.
You know that moment where someone tells you, hey, there's somebody behind you, and you have that almost paralysis of, I'm not going to turn around and look, but I really need to turn around and look. I am going to nope out of looking at statues from an antique shop today. We're just not going to onboard that right now into our experience. There's a moment of paralysis where I look at you and then just deliberately don't look to my left.
Right, yes. Now, again, the library section's a bit calmer if you want to sleep in there. I'll make it. What's the time?
I don't know. I don't know, and I'll scramble to pull a watch from the jacket that I was wearing. Oh, I am still in a fancy dress. How fun! Whatever jacket that I was wearing for last night.
And you still have a bloody cudgel with bits of nose on it.
I'll reach over that and look for the watch.
You look at the watch, find that it's just before 8 in the morning. Despite the fact neither of you slept deeply, you slept long, and then there is a hammering on the door. Hammering loud enough that it may well break the frosted glass at the front of your antique store.
Indeed. Luckily, I do have a peephole in that door, but I will just go to the desk, pocket my Luger, go to the door, move the peephole. Who does it look like?
There's a young man You would put him at about 18 years old. Quite scrawny looking. He has a complexion similar to that of Yalisha and Anna. You don't recognize him from the club. He is dressed in labourer's clothes. Has a pair of braces over baggy trousers and an open-necked shirt.
I see. I'll take a moment to scratch my beard. I look over to you, Madeline, and whisper, "Young fella, maybe from the club? Another friend of yours?"
I shake my head. No, she doesn't have any other friends from that club, especially any male ones.
"We're closed."
Is that Mr. Hill?
"Yes."
Please, can I come in?
I consider the boy for a bit longer, and then I'll slowly go to open the door, with my gun firmly in the other hand.
The boy gives a nervous smile as you open the door. Thank you. Can I come in?
I just nod, stepping back a little so that, just in case, I have the gun ready to go on the young man if I need to.
His hands are thrust in his pockets. He slides in through the part-open door. This is nice, he says, looking around the storefront. You have lots of good things here.
Yes, I do. I pride myself on having a respectable establishment for a discerning clientele. What do you want, young man?
I work in a shop as well, he says, smiling at you.
Do you now?
Yes, a shop like yours. It is better, I think.
Really?
But yours is very good.
Well, ain't no counting for taste, is there? How can I help you, young sir?
I was sent to ask you if you are... you were at the Blue Pyramid last night. His smile is still fixed on his face. Yes, you were at the Blue Pyramid and you left before the gunshots.
I might have been at the Blue Pyramid. I might have even been thrown out.
No, you were at the Blue Pyramid. You were, I was told, you were at the Blue Pyramid Club, and you left before the gunshots, but only just before. One of his hands leaves one of his pockets to make a small finger and thumb gesture of a little bit before the gunshots. And before you left, 3 women left.
Did they?
The Blue Pyramid. Yes, they did. They did. And I need to know if you have them here.
Have them? As in, I walked along the street, picked up 3 women and put them in my handbasket.
He peers behind the counter toward the curtain that divides the storefront from the living area behind. Not quite like that, no. He looks at the curtain. Are they back there?
No. Why the fuck? And at that point, I lean over the young man and give him a big side eye as I look down at him. Would I have picked up 3 women? I didn't think the Blue Pyramid did that sort of service. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I do not go there myself. His right hand now leaves his pocket, and you can see it shaking, but he isn't holding a weapon. But I was sent here to find out if you have the 3 of them here.
Well, I do not have anybody here other than myself and a good amount of old books, furniture, and a couple of busts there of the king. So, if that will be all, if this is some sort of shakedown to don't come back to the Blue Pyramid, the owner already told me that, and I will not be going to where I'm not welcome.
Mr. Hill, you are mistaken about me. I am not shaking anything. He puts his shaking hand back in his pocket. I am just trying to find out if you know where the 3 women are. Please tell me.
I suppose I can try a bad psychology roll again.
Go for it. What are you trying to find out?
Is this boy actually a humble young boy looking out for the welfare of his friends, or some sort of scout looking ahead to send in the goons? It's a 57, so it's a failure.
Do you want to spend some luck, Craig?
No, thank you.
You don't know. I mean, it's fairly apparent even with your failure that he is nervous. That's why the smile is glued to his face. It is a forced affectation, you could say. But the shaking nature of his hand means he's either very scared or perhaps opium user or something like that, and is undergoing withdrawal. You've seen the like before, again, plenty of times while serving. But he is definitely nervous. For what reason, you do not know. But he looks at you, and his smile quavers a little.
I give him a hard glare as I lean down. You know, I heard on my way home that the police were out and about. I heard someone even saying someone got badly hurt. I sure hope it wasn't those 3 women. I'd hate for, well, someone to be going around harming women.
Oh, I do not know about someone getting hurt. I hope that the women were not hurt. So you promise me, you give me your word so that I know for certain that they are not here.
Who's asking, young man? Because it sure ain't just you, so let's beat around the bush on that angle.
My
Boss?
Oh gosh. I think I need to get going. I need to go to work. I am sorry to have wasted your time, Mr. Hill. They are not here. They are not here. I will say that they are not here, and that someone was hurt.
Yes, they aren't here.
He nods, both his hands now thrust back in his pockets, and he makes his way toward the door, realises he can't open it with his hands in his pockets, and then needs to withdraw the left one again, which has started shaking just like the right. Are you going to push him at all to get anything from him, or are you going to let him stalk off in his ungainly way? By all means, you could follow him, if you want to try that again.
I shall wait a second. Quickly withdraw, this time just £1 from my pocket. Flick it over to him and say, but if I wanted to help out concerned individuals and track down missing women, because maybe I could do that, who would I contact?
Because of the bribe, I will give you a +10, not a +20, even though £1 is a lot of money, but he does have certain loyalties. So this is going to be a funny one, Craig, because it's a hard persuade, or even charm roll, depending on which you prefer.
It's not that I threaten him directly with the money, it's that I just give him that smile and glare at him once again from on high, presenting myself perhaps as presenting myself in a way that implies I don't want to hear a bad answer to this.
Okay. Alright. So add +10 to your intimidate first. So you need to get a 35 or less.
That's a 35.
Well, I really shouldn't, but... And the way he scrabbles for that £1 note, which is now on the floor, which you just flicked in his direction, it is quite clear to you at that point, this is a young man with problems. And it's very likely that he doesn't get paid well, if at all, and the allure of having money of his own means before he dashes back to where he needs to dash back to, he's probably going to dash somewhere he shouldn't and spend this money. And here's a clue, it's not a candy store. He stuffs it in his pocket with his hand. And Empire Spices is where I work for Miss Shafiq.
Shafiq? Do I know of the name Shafiq in my line of work?
You have, you've heard of Zara Shafiq as an occasional dealer in antiques, but primarily it's imports. She imports an awful lot from Egypt, from Turkey, and from the entire Middle Eastern region, Iran as well, or Persia, as Britain is still calling it at this point. So maybe they intercepted your rugs, who knows. The point being, Shafiq does diversify, and Empire Spices is her shop.
Now that is very interesting, and something that appeals to me. After all, I also dabble in import and export sometimes in my line of work. But still, why is she snooping around for these lot? I nod and say, "Ha! Never heard of it." And I give the boy a wink.
Probably for the best. Goodbye. And he opens the door and dashes. He has a £1 note burning a hole in his pocket right now. And for you, both of you, as you've been able to overhear this entire thing, Madeline likely clutching that club again, despite the gore that's spattering its top half, it's, on one hand, unusual that such a waifish errand boy would be dispatched for such a serious matter. But on the other hand, if a low profile is called for, they're not going to be sending the thugs. Maybe they don't know the depths to which Hill is involved in all of this. Maybe they don't know for certain that he is sheltering one of their targets. But what is certain to both of you now is the Brotherhood of the Black Pharaoh wants Madeline, Anna, and Yalisha, all of them. Do they want them dead? Do they want them for other purposes? We will find out. And unfortunately, when Bertie is seen in the company of one or more of them, he will be wanted too. And that is where we will end our session.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play Masks of Nyarlathotep for Chaosium's Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. Joining us as our keeper is none other than our dear friend Matthew Dawkins, and we were also joined by Bridgett Jeffries and Eddy Webb. The music was made by Ager Sonus and Halgrath, and we've also used Cryochamber's Lovecraftian compilation albums. All of this with the permission of Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient for your gaming table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Simon Cooper, Julia, Bob Lange, Cameron, Graham Barey, Doug Thomson, Lily, Maciej, Black Templar, Dennis Sadecki, and Leonhardt for their generous support. We would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, this show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult of the Lost, Call of Cthulhu, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and Warhammer 40k Imperium Maledictum there. And you can also get early and raw access to all of our recordings, and hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as even play some Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember, I am the last. I will tell the audient void.